The use of knees in Olympic weightlifting. Focusing on the snatch, I'll address the first pull and transition over the knees as well as the catch. So looking at the first pull and transition, we see that during the first pull, the bar travels to the top of the shins. It then transitions past the knees where the second pull begins, and the lifter works through the remaining stages as shown by this athlete who successfully completes the lift. Before the first pull, the knees are typically over the bar as anterior knee translation is necessary for the athlete to get into their setup position, as shown by the blue circle here. During these first two stages, the lifter's knee should ideally move backwards to facilitate the bar moving towards the athlete's body. This is shown on the left, where the left knee is tracking in yellow, and also on the right, where the tibia becomes more vertical and the right knee visibly moves backwards. The purpose is to start the bar on a path which will allow the athlete to maintain balance throughout the remainder of the lift. As with all technical points, the degree to which this occurs varies hugely among athletes. This path, which is started by the inward pull of the bar, is often referred to as an S-curve for its shape. In reality, it's often more vertical with a hook-like shape to the top rather than evenly curved throughout. Note that each of the following examples begins with the inward sweeping of the bar. A training modality to help ingrain this movement pattern is the snatch pull, where the bar transitions past the knees and continues to the point of triple extension with a shoulder shrug. As the bar leaves the ground, the athlete should focus on moving the knees back and pulling the bar closer, as well as vertically. Another aspect of the knees during the first pull and transition is their direction. Many lifters can successfully sweep the bar back with hips and shoulders rising together, with their feet parallel or relatively close to parallel. Note that this athlete is quite tall and appears to have long limbs. In relation to body proportion, we can only make assumptions based on how lifters appear to be proportioned on the platform, but it's common to observe that taller, longer-limbed athletes are proficient in this positioning. Comparatively, other lifters turn their feet and as a consequence their knees out to a large degree in their setup. Here the lifter's feet are distinctly pointing outwards to enable external hip rotation, which in turn facilitates moving her knees much more laterally than the previous lifter in preparation for and during the transition over the knees. Here my feet were pointing out only slightly, and in order to move my knees back, my hips rose faster than my shoulders. As a result, I lost the bar out in front. The blue hip and shoulder track paths on this still highlight the greater hip movement. Contrasting this, my feet and knees here were pointing outwards to a much greater degree, which allowed me to keep my chest up with hips and shoulders rising together. It also meant I could generate torque in the hips with which to push through the ground and move the knees more laterally as well as posteriorly. As a result, I was able to maintain a sound centre of gravity throughout the second pull, but unfortunately lost balance in the catch. The other part of the snatch, where the knees play an important role in the success of the lift, is the catch. During this stage, the knees essentially work to provide balance in the overall task of securing a sound centre of gravity after the feet have been repositioned and the bar received overhead. We'll see here that ankle mobility facilitates the forward translation of the knees to balance the athlete. Hip mobility couples with the knee translation to act almost as a suspension system at the bottom of the catch, where a slight anterior bouncing movement can be seen. Once a stable position has been reached, the athlete can carefully execute the recovery phase by standing up while continuing to maintain sufficient balance. The lift on the left here was lost in front, and the one on the right at 4 kg heavier was completed successfully. While exact angles can't be measured, we achieve a good understanding of the differences in each by using this method. We see the measured ankle on the left at 51 degrees and 46 degrees on the right. It becomes clear when we compare the positioning of her right arm that the greater anterior knee translation was required on the successful lift, as the bar was more fully secured over her base of support to achieve sufficient balance. The snatch balance provides concentrated time to execute proficient skill in the catch phase, including use of the knees in achieving balance. Starting with the bar behind the neck in a snatch grip, the athlete performs a controlled dip before repositioning the feet to a catch position, while executing triple flexion to a balanced overhead squat. Once stable, the lifter then recovers to standing. Thank you. I'll leave you with this excellent snatch save.